Good evening and welcome to For the Record. Improving the state of our roads is perhaps one of the biggest developmental challenges in the nation. One of the driving forces behind that is our guest this evening, Mr. Jonathan Moore, the CEO of the Fiji Roads Authority. Good evening and welcome.
Yes, yeah.
Well, you've been on the show before, so I should
I
say
have.
welcome back. Since the last time you came here, it's April 2019 and Fijians all around the country are seeing things happening, seeing new projects. Tell us about some of those major new projects.
I guess the one that everybody sees in the Suva area is the Kings Road project between the Cassia and Rewa Bridge. That's the one that we were destined to finish in 2016-17, but was delayed through some ground condition issues. But the contractor didn't perform too well, so we terminated that contract, and then we gave two contractors, Dale Quarries and Higgins, basically 9 months to complete the work, which is a bit of a challenge, but it's working and they're on track to finish in June.
From then till now, over the past year, you've outlined a few projects that FRA had undertaken. Have they all been successful, or some of them still sort of backlogged?
Generally they're successful. In Nandi we've got the N2 project, which is down Martin Town and Lamaka. That's coming to a conclusion as well, the end of this month. It's been a successful project, but it needed changes to make it successful. The original design wasn't really the design we wanted. Our main focus is public safety, and having a brand new road 4 lanes wide through the middle of an urban area with no real speed controls is not desirable. So we set about making it more public friendly. We put in the median, we put in fencing, we put in traffic signals and pedestrian crossings. That should all be finished by the end of this month, and it'll be a much safer road. And around the rest of the country as well. I mean, we've got other jobs. There's the smaller ones and less obvious ones than Kings Road and Martintal. We've got things like the Siberia roadworks in the north. We're starting to upgrade Siberia roads to a sealed road for certain sections of it. We're working on the Karatari crossing to give a better loop between the Karatari road and Siberia road as an alternative route. And that opens up access to thousands of people in the rural areas.
Because if you've been to Siberia, you know that that's a huge project.
Siberia Road's a bit of a problem for us. I mean, it was built too low in the first place, and it floods badly. So, as well as doing the sealed extension from the Lambasa side of Siberia Road, we're also now raising, in the area called Emily Flats, we're raising that to about a metre higher than it is now, because it was built too low in the first place. And when you build a road too low, particularly an unsealed road in that kind of environment, in Fiji where it rains so much, it regularly floods. And so unsealed road flooding regularly, it has to be maintained more often. And the extra cost of maintenance on that one section of road has just been, it's unreasonable. So we've decided to do a capital improvement programme and raise the level of the road so it floods less often and gives better service as well.
Increasingly we're hearing about all of these other factors that you have to consider. It's just not the road. It's the condition of the earth that the road is going to be built on. You have land issues to consider and budgetary issues to consider as well. So you're in a better position to tell us about some of the more recent challenges that you've had.
Well, ground conditions, particularly around rivers, is really serious. I can give the two examples in Suva actually. One is on the Kings Road project. Part of the delay to the work between the Cassia and Rewa Bridge was 2 years of consolidation of the silt in the river, in the valley. We can't put a road across soft ground, otherwise the road will break up. So we need to consolidate the ground before we do that. Second example of that would be the Tamavur Bridge. We wanted to change Tamavur Bridge a year ago, but we did geotechnical studies and it revealed very, very poor ground on the Lamy side of Tamavur Bridge. So we had to change the design to make sure it would stay there for 100 years. And we're going for 100 years now, and recently we had a study of 45 bridges random bridges around Fiji to assess the average life of bridges in Fiji, and frankly it's appalling. We're at about 45 years life for bridges on average. A bridge should last at least 80 years, and we've designed Tamavur Bridge to be 100 years. Taking into account climate change, sea level rising, Tamavur Bridge should still be standing 100 years from now.
And at the moment, your recent study proved that it's almost half of that.
Oh yeah, it's shocking. In fact, when I saw the results, I sent it back to my team, say check it again, because That's absurd. But they checked it again and came back. It's half the life of what you'd expect.
I suppose one of the reasons why the general public gets all up in arms is saying that, you know, it's taking too long, and there's a common saying that, you know, roadworks in Fiji are never going to end. It's always going to take, you know, a million years, and there's always going to be patchwork happening, but that maybe it's a legacy issue that they feel is going to continue. Is this going to happen in the future?
No, we're picking up from the legacy of the past. We're trying to recover from that. 40-year life in bridges, 35-year life in crossings, 40-year life in jetties. That's a legacy that we have to recover from now, and that's going to involve a lot of repairs, temporary repairs, and a lot of capital improvements. On the roads, we're seeing the roads falling apart through lack of maintenance over decades. We're also seeing it falling apart through overloading. All these things are being tackled now. The new designs we're doing for the roads, Sarup 2, for example, is a 25-year life. And what that means is we rebuild the road, and that road will stay as the road for 25 years. You still need to maintain it, you still need to repair it, but it will be in place as a usable road for 25 years. Some of the roads around Fiji now are lucky to survive 7 or 8 years. And it is down to legacy and overloading and poor management in the past.
How does that impact the nation in the long term in terms of finance as well? If the average lifespan of a bridge instead of 80 years is 40 years?
Well, a bridge that costs us $20 million to change has to be changed twice in its lifetime. So you're basically wasting $20 million each bridge over its lifetime. The overall impact, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars over the past 30, 40 years. Of the cost of underinvestment 30, 40 years ago is hundreds of millions of dollars.
Talk to us about neglect, not necessarily just by those who are out there making the roads, but those who are using the roads. There's a certain degree of responsibility by road users as well.
The road users have an effect normally on the congestion rather than on the road itself, the infrastructure. The neglect part, from my point of view, is more to do with lack of maintenance in the past. So we're setting up maintenance programs now where we have a regular cycle of maintenance, and so we've instituted a scheme where I have a team of inspectors whose mission is to tour every road in Fiji once a month, and they do condition surveys once every month. We're building the team up now. It'll take us 2 or 3 months to get to full strength, but the intention is they'll go out there and they will see the problems, they'll report the problems back to the delivery and execution team, who will go and rectify the problems. And that's getting over the past neglect that we had. It's being more proactive, and it's targeting what needs to be done, and that's not just on the roads. It's on the unsealed rural roads, it's on the bridges, the jetties and the crossings as well.
We'll have more for you right after the break.
Mr. Moore, picking up from where we left off in the previous segment, we're talking about neglect, and there's also something that I've noticed, and even ordinary Fijians have noticed. Roadworks are continuing around the country. You have, of course, patchwork still continuing. There are instances where when you have heavy rain and you have drainage issues, especially in residential areas around the urban centres, all of that water just rushes off into newly sealed roads. Whose responsibility is that?
The drainage responsibility is split between ourselves in the rural areas and highways, but within municipal boundaries it's down to the municipal council. We help and assist where we can, and when we get major floods we're always there to help out with the municipal councils. But drainage is a major issue for us. When we had a recent issue where a road did overspill into one of the new sealed sections on the King's Road in Suva, and it washed out the seal, and we lost a week having to let it dry out and reseal it. There's a time when you're building a new road where it's very vulnerable to becoming wet, whether that's flooding or rain, and if it gets too wet, you have to redo the thing, but you have to dry it out first. So it can be quite debilitating for us time-wise. But drainage is a big problem for us around Fiji, and it's mainly a problem on the unsealed roads, where we have to get the drainage right, because an unsealed road has nothing to retain it. It has no surface to seal it and no sides that can retain it. So as soon as you get too much water on an unsealed road that is just sitting there, it washes all the fine material out from the matrix of the road, and the road falls apart. So drainage is massively important for us.
And talk to us about the scale of the roads that need to be assessed for good drainage in Fiji.
Every one of them, every road. I mean, we have to take in Queens Road, Kings Road, Nambawalu Road. That's just as critical for drainage as an unsealed road, because the drainage getting into the bed and into the substructure of the road washes the structure out of it, and it falls apart. And the biggest killer for our roads in Fiji is poor drainage. So we're trying to tackle that one now.
So talk to us about the relationship that you have as well with the Water Authority of Fiji. There's a lot of talk going on about that as well. And one of the examples of the many that I can remember is the road that was recently built just in front of the new Flagstaff Plaza. So a few weeks after the road was completed, we saw Water Authority digging up part of the road and
laying new path.
Yeah. So why does that happen?
I think it happens because we haven't got the coordination down properly yet. We're all getting on very well together, we're all working well together, but we have to do better. I have regular meetings with WAF and DFL and TFL, everybody, we all meet together. And we're all trying to get it aligned so that we work with each other. Sharing programs, sharing the next 3 months' work list. So we know where WAF are going to be, they know where we're going to be, EFL as well. We can all work together and do the job together. Good example would be the new Sarab 2 contract, which is about to start in Suva. It's 15 roads in 17 locations on 15 roads, and we're working together with EFL, WAF and TFL to do the reconstruction of the roads and services one time only. So we're coordinated on those. There are instances where it's unavoidable and it's not any deliberate planning that causes these problems you're talking about, like in Flagstaff. Where we do a new road, we use heavy equipment. We use rollers, we use graders, and it causes vibration. A lot of the pipes that WAF are having to contend with now are old pipes. So as soon as we start rolling and the ground starts vibrating, it can open the joints up and it can leak. So WAF have to come and change the pipe out. It's nothing, they've done nothing wrong. It's just, it's another legacy issue. It's a legacy issue around the aged water system, as much as it is a legacy around the aging road system.
But there's also two different things to consider. The fact that you have a waterways network and you also have a roads network, there's legacy issues there as well. Moving forward, when you're building new roads, of course, you said you're going to be working together. What about existing networks? Any plans in place to sort of work on those and make sure that in the future you don't have to dig them up again?
Definitely plans. I mean, WAF are talking to us now about their forward programme, how they want to put new mains in certain locations. And we're looking at our programme now as well to see what we have to do in the same location, and where the two can be brought together, we'll do it together. If we have to adjust our programme to meet WAFs, or they have to adjust their slot to meet ours, or we meet in the middle, that's fine, we'll do that. But there is a lot of synergy now, and we are trying to work together to make it work properly.
Let's look at bridges, like you've mentioned before. There's so many instances where there's heavy rain and then you have areas inundated with a lot of water, and there's of course drainage problems there. Most of the major bridges, of course, you are looking to upgrade and build. But what about some of the crossings? Because when you look at heavily populated areas like Coronivia and some other areas, those just get completely washed over and it blocks off access completely.
Yeah, a lot of the crossings were designed to be flooded. And periodically flooded, not for long periods, it's maybe for 1 or 2 hours or a day at the most. Unfortunately, with the increase in rainfall and climate change, the frequency of flooding is increasing. So we've now decided not to do the old style crossings anymore, the low level crossings where there are pipes. We just finished the construction of 5 new crossings, and rather than have 4-foot diameter pipes in there, or 3-foot diameter pipes, we now have 3 metre by 3 metre box cells, so it's 10 by 10 feet. And they're arranged together with the road on top, so not only have we got a greater flow area for the water to pass through, we also have a higher road, so now it floods less frequently. And we've had discussions with the stakeholders in the government, and they want us to do that across the country, and it's become our new standard. The problem is we've got probably 150 of those to change, and that will take some time, probably 6-7 years, I would say.
So earlier on, we were talking about the fact that, and in fact, this was enlightening for us as well. The fact that the Fiji Roads Authority doesn't own and have control over 100% of the roads in Fiji.
No.
Tell us more about that.
It's about half. We're responsible for almost 8,000 kilometres of sealed and unsealed roads. But there are other road owners as well, significant road owners. FSC, they own thousands of kilometres of cane roads. The forestry industry own thousands of kilometres. Agriculture, even private roads. There are private roads in the middle of cities. And the problem is that people see road and think FRA. And I get inundated with calls, probably 2 or 3 times a day I'll get a call or a message about upgrading a road. And when we go into our GIS system, we find it's not our road, it's somebody else's. And it's hard to get it across to the public that it's not an FRA asset because it's in the title, road. They think it's ours. But yeah.
So if someone wanted to find out which, whether or not the road in their area belonged to the FRA, is that information publicly accessible? Yeah,
on our website there's a thing called GIS. They can go into the GIS system and they can type in the search, the road name in the search engine there. And if it comes up with a name and it shows you a road on a map, it's ours. If it stays blank and doesn't find a road, then it's probably not ours. But I would suggest also that they can contact us and ask us. If they send through a request to advise if this particular road is one of ours, then we will answer that query.
We'll have more for you right after the break. Welcome back. One of the issues that road users are always complaining about is traffic lights, places where they believe that traffic lights should be placed but there aren't, or places where people believe that they should not have traffic lights but there are. So tell us how the assessment is carried out by the FRA.
Traffic lights are used for 2 major reasons. One, for controlling the flow of traffic, but the secondary reason is also for giving safe crossing points for pedestrians across the road. A third thing it's used for, but it's not generally a reason to put traffic lights there, is it also has speed control as well. But we assess the traffic light locations based on the transportation study and the movement study for that area. And the movement study is how the vehicles move, how many there are, how frequently they're there, and all the interconnecting roads that come into a certain location. So you try and make the flow through any location as smooth as possible, and the way you do that is you stop them at regular intervals at traffic signals. Frankly, it's an incredibly complicated exercise, and it's a linear programming computing model that tells you precisely where it should be. Now we're just bringing that technology into Fiji over the next few months, and that'll tell us how to sequence the lights, where to locate them, the spacing, and the idea is to if somebody starts a run down a straight road with a lot of traffic signals there, if they travel at the speed limit, they'll get through without stopping. But it also allows pedestrians to get across the road as well in a regular interval. So there's a lot of science behind traffic lights, and it takes a lot of clever people to work it out with computers. But, we're working on that one right now. The other problem with traffic signals we have also in Fiji is that we have a shortage of contractors that have the capability to install these things. So we're having to stretch out our traffic signal program from 2 years to 3 to accommodate the shortage of competence in the country. Because there's not many traffic signals, there are not many people who have done them. So there's not a history of traffic signal installation in Fiji. So on the major roads that we're working on now, like N2 in Nandi, Martintar, and the Suva works in Kings Road, the contractor that's delivering those works is also delivering the traffic signals as well. It's not a separate contract anymore.
Let's look at the lights along Rodwell Road in Suva, just where the Suva market is. Quite a densely populated area. There's foot traffic and there's of course traffic on the roads all the time at any given time. We still haven't seen traffic lights being changed out over there. The last time you came on the show, you did mention that they're quite outdated. You have to wait for new traffic lights to come in. What's the update on that?
Yes, that's still the case. We'd have to change them. What we've done on the ones in Rodwell Road is we've done some improvements to them. We've done some repairs to them so they work better, but it's not the final product. We have to change them out. As I say, the competence level, the import of the materials has stretched the programme out from 2 years to 3. So over the next 12 months we're hoping to get those worked on. But one thing I would say about Rodwell Road is, around the market area, a lot of congestion is created there, not because of the traffic signals, it's because of the random use of the road by the pedestrians, crossing when they want to and ignoring signals. We can have the best traffic signal system in the world. If people continue to randomly cross the road and ignore the signals, then it will never work properly.
And that brings us to, I guess, an important arc is your relationship with the Land Transport Authority. Because everybody knows that enforcement is one of the major challenges that we have with any roads. And as you said, even if you have the best systems around, if there's no enforcement, if people continue to break the rules, it's not going to be of any benefit to anyone. Yeah. So how are you working with the Land Transport Authority on that?
Oh, very well. I'm really pleased to see the new CEO with the LTA. He's got a lot of experience, and he understood immediately when he came in. He knew what the problem was, and his enforcement, and he's taking steps to rectify that now. I'm very encouraged by the new look of the LTA.
Can you tell us about how you decide when and where to put pedestrian crossings, given that we now have more densely populated areas? However, people just don't seem to follow the the lights where they are. Maybe there's a need for pedestrian crossings to come about in certain areas?
There is. My concern is that I'll put pedestrian crossings in locations and they'll be ignored and people will still randomly cross the road. The location of pedestrian crossing is just common sense. It's where there are bus shelters, bus bays, where large population areas are, you've got to cross a major road. But we're now forced into a situation where we have to put fencing down the centre of a road to force people to cross the road at the right place.
Sort of like herding sheep.
I didn't say that, but I wouldn't disagree with you.
Well, let's look at another issue. A lot of people are always complaining about the fact that the road signs are not correct, that they're old, they're dilapidated, they need to be changed out, some of the road markings are incorrect. What's the progress on that?
There is progress on that. We're introducing new road signs. Every time we change a road or upgrade a road, the signage changes as well. But there's also a separate contract that's being let in probably later on this year, which will be a road sign maintenance contract. You don't necessarily need to change the sign, just need to maintain the sign. It's like everything else: bridges, crossings, roads, signs. Maintain them and they'll work. Yeah.
We'll be back right after a break. Mr. Moore, in recent times, one of the biggest issues that we've had around Fiji is with traffic congestion. On one hand, some people are saying we've just got too many cars on our roads. On the other hand, some people are saying that, well, it doesn't matter how many cars we have on our roads, we need to have the right infrastructure for, or rather to accommodate for those cars. What's your opinion on that?
I think congestion has many causes. It can be congestion through roadworks, it can be congestion through bad driving. What we're trying to do right now is we're trying to get the existing network sorted out to make sure the congestion is minimised. We don't want to leap into building new roads without first sorting out the existing roads. So congestion can be helped by a couple of plans we've got going forward in the future. In fact, more than a couple, 3 or 4 plans. In the next couple of 3 years, we're looking to improve Prince's Road between Sawani and Tamavu village, making a 3-lane road there with a crawler lane going uphill. One of the big issues in the mornings is that the traffic can flow along Prince's Road, but it's so slow because you get heavy vehicles or slow-moving vehicles with a tailback of maybe 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres of traffic. Right. If we can put a 3rd lane in there going uphill, then the slow traffic moves to the left and the other traffic can move through more quickly. The other thing we're trying to do in the not too distant future, I would say probably maybe 2 years from now, we want to make Ratadovi a 4-lane road, 2 lanes each side, from Langari Bridge, intersection with King's Road. We'd like to do it now, but we can't do it now because we're working on other roads. If we start working on all the roads all at the same time, we'll be in the same situation we were in 2 years ago, when there was just gridlock at certain times in the city. We need to be sensible about it, and we need to be less ambitious in some respects and work on 1 or 2 roads, not 5 or 6 roads all at the same time. But there's another means to improving congestion. It's getting cars off the road. So that's why we're very supportive of the park and ride scheme that's been talked about by many people, where people can park out on the other side of Lamy or on the other side of Nasuri and get a bus into the city on a dedicated lane. Express bus maybe has 1 or 2 stops on the way, then it hits the city centre. That's used throughout the world very effectively. And the other thing we're looking at doing right now is introducing some clearways, peak hour clearways. One of the big issues around congestion is random stopping and parking on major arterial roads into the city at peak hours. So what could be 2 lanes is cut down to 1 lane because somebody decided to stop and drop somebody off. Right. It may be only for a minute or 2, but that minute or 2 gives a 20 or 30 car tailback. So starting next month, in May, we'll be introducing clearways around the city. And what that means is between certain hours of the day, at peak hours, in the morning and the afternoon, you can't stop and you can't park on the roads unless it's in a designated drop-off zone or parking zone.
But how is that going to be policed? Who's going to be enforcing this?
We're working with the police and with LTA to enforce this. We've had all stakeholders been discussing this over the last few months, including the ministries as well, because we have to involve everybody. We're all part of the Ministry of Infrastructure. We've got to involve the Ministry of Economy because it's all to do with the financing of it as well. So all stakeholders have been discussing it, and we'll be issuing a press release to describe exactly what it means and give a map showing which roads will be affected. And we're talking about roads such as Ratimara, Waimanu, Rewa, the major routes in and out of the city, morning and evening, trying to get a better flow for people going through the city.
Some could say that you could take a leaf out of books overseas and say that you could introduce carpooling, but of course that's not going to be something that can be done in Fiji just yet, correct?
I'd love to do that. I think it's a fantastic idea. Have a designated lane for people, more than two people or more in a car. The number of times I drive down the road now and I see 1 person in a car, it's 90% of the vehicles have got 1 person in the car. If we can do carpooling, it'd be fantastic. But the problem we don't have the lane space. You go to places all over the world, like Los Angeles, for example. They do carpooling. They're massive in carpooling in Los Angeles. But they've got 6 lanes either side of the median. We don't have that. We have 2. Now, if we try and do a carpool lane, there'll be nothing left for the general users. So I'd love to do it, but it's not feasible right now.
Talk to us about the idea of having a lane designated for PSV drivers. Like you mentioned, there's stops that are being made. Generally, we see this happening with buses, with taxis, and also with minivans. Yeah,
we've talked about having a bus lane. That discussion originally started, as you describe it, as a PSV lane, which is all public service. It's taxis and minibuses and buses, all in the same lane. That is a great idea, but what it means is that everybody who's using that lane has to follow the rules. They have to drop off in a bay. They can't just stop on the road. Now, if people randomly stop on the road, be it a taxi, stops on the road without going into a bay, then it just causes more congestion and more frustration. So I would advocate a PSV lane, yes, but everybody using that lane has to follow the rules, otherwise it'll all fall down.
Can you tell us about maybe projects that may be starting off soon regarding removal of old roads altogether and putting in new roads? You've mentioned there's going to be a few projects that you're going to be taking up rather in Suva.
Yeah.
But there's always this misconception that they're just going to pour new seal over it and that's going to be it.
No. Gone are the days of just resealing roads, I'm afraid. First of all, it's not cost effective. Simplistically, a resealed road may last 5 years, 6 years. A fully rehabilitated road and reconstructed road lasts 25 years. So you get 4 times the amount of life, but a fully rehabilitated road costs twice as much. So the cost benefit is 4 times the life for twice the price, which is a good outcome. So we're looking at doing a lot of urban roads. Sarup 2 is the start of all that. Queen Elizabeth Drive will also be reconstructed as well. Moving across to the west, we're looking at reconstructing some sections of the Nandi Back Road as well, some sections around Latoka. And in Lambasa, there's the same. There's some roads in Lambasa that need serious attention. So the team over there are looking at rehabilitating some of the roads, particularly the main street. We're looking at a rehabilitation project for the main street. Now, that's not going to happen overnight. There's a lot of work to go on around that. We have to plan it properly. We need to make sure we've got everything we need there, because not only are we going to rehabilitate the road, we'll do the footpaths, the utilities, and we'll also introduce some traffic signals and pedestrian crossings there as well. Again, Lambasa, Nandi, Suva, all the main urban centres all suffer from the same problem of random crossing of the road, where you can have the best road system and the best transportation network, but if people cross the road whenever they want to and wherever they want to, you'll always get congestion.
While we're on this subject, let's talk about temporary repairs, specifically the patchwork that we see done along the road. And in some parts of Suva, in some parts of Fiji, when you drive along, you generally hear the comment that there's more patchwork than actual road on that. So, what sort of technology or what work are you investing into making patchwork a bit smoother, I guess, or try and lessen patchwork?
Well, the patchwork you're talking about is this is the legacy of the underinvestment and the mismanagement from decades ago. And it all comes to fruition now, and we're suffering the consequence of that right now. And I don't want to do any more patch repairs unless I really have to. I want to do carriageway repairs where you do the entire carriageway. So when you do the entire carriageway, you're given a very good area of sealed road, and once the road's sealed, it stays together for longer. So we're changing the methodology now, where it's not going to be small sections anymore, 2 or 3 metres square. It's going to be 100 metres long, and the full width of the road. That helps. We're also introducing in the future different materials as well. We can use some high-tech binders for the asphalt that give a lot longer life. And we're also designing new pavements as well. When I say pavement, the road is actually a pavement, so it's made up of layers, and we've got a team looking at the redesign of the pavements structurally, not just in the alignment, but also the entire structure. So some of the asphalt roads have become thicker. We'll be using polymer binders for the asphalt, which makes it more durable. And in certain areas, where we're declaring 2 locations in Suva and Lautoka as heavy haulage routes. And that allows heavy vehicles from the port to go to designated breakout areas. The reason for that is that as part of the overloading challenge right now, we need to understand that heavy vehicles will move on roads, and around ports there'll be a predominance of heavy vehicles. So we have to amend the detail and the design of the roads to accommodate that. We can't expect them to break down the loads before it's shipped or at the port. We have to help them and work with them to give a route they can use when it's a heavy vehicle. So some of those roads may be formed out of reinforced concrete, because it's more expensive, but it's more durable, and a properly made reinforced concrete road will last for 30 or 40 years.
There's a lot of there's some parts of that that you can see near the Lautoka Wharf, actually. So while we're on the subject of overloading, for the past 2 or 3 years, more awareness has been done on the effects of overloading, and there's generally more enforceability. Do you see a change?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's not only a change in the enforcement, there's also a change in the understanding as well. We along with the LTA, and in fairness to the RHA, we're on the different side of the argument here, but we're working together. We're understanding each other's point of view, and the simple fact is it comes down to an assessment of empirical studies and cost. If we allow overloading to continue, what is the effect on the road, and how much will it cost to put right? If we enforce the overloading restrictions, what is the effect on the haulage industry, and what is the cost to the Fijian economy? Those 2 things are being calculated right now. And at the end of the day, whichever one is the most sensible approach will win out.
Let's put a pin in this and be back with more after the break.
Welcome back. Mr. Mo, this is our final segment. Let's talk about some of the things that you said earlier, one of them being about clearways. And in fact, this is one of the issues that a lot of public service vehicle drivers face as well. They often complain about the fact that they can't stop at places where it's absolutely essential for them to stop. For example, near a supermarket, because they also have to cater to their customers who want to stop at certain ways. And you also said that these clearways are going to irritate a lot of our drivers.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they've got to change a habit, and changing a habit is always difficult. People they get used to stopping where they want to. Well, that's fine for the individual stopping where he wants to, but think of the 20 cars behind him that are blocked. Right. We're thinking of the bigger picture, and the 99% of the people that want to get into the city without stopping. This is not going to be it's not a life-threatening situation. It's just a slight inconvenience to one or two drivers. The issue around buses stopping where they need to stop, that's actually quite important, because we do recognise that, and I do wonder sometimes if the location of bus bays is actually correct in some locations. And it does seem that bus bays have been kept in the same position for a long time, decades, without any consideration for development changes in the areas, new buildings coming up, and new locations for people to go to. So that probably does need a holistic review to see if the bus bays are in the right location. And as one of the engineering issues and one of the planning issues we're doing through the Sarup 2 project, for example, in Suva, is we're actually looking at putting things in the right place. Putting drop-off areas in the right place and putting bus bays. Now, I know of certain areas where we definitely need drop-off areas for taxis. We definitely need bus bays, and none exist right now. So that kind of thing will be introduced.
Speaking of, just last year you had a few trial and error methods that you did use, especially with congestion in the Greater Suva area, right within the CBD. It wasn't necessarily quite successful because we can see that it didn't continue. Tell us more about it. Are there more?
No, I think we got to the point where we wanted to get to, and the last section, it didn't work. So the other bits that we did around Pratt Street area, that was successful. But we're not doing any more of this ad hoc small change. What we're doing now is a complete transportation study, because what we've discovered is that there's a huge amount of development throughout Suva, and it's not been recognised before. We weren't even aware of some of it. So there's no point us doing this small-scale thing anymore. We have to do a proper, full transportation study that goes right out to Grantham Road, Lavalla Bay Road, end of Rewa Street, right through to Ratamara, include the entire city centre. Otherwise, these small changes you make become a waste of time.
And what sorts of resources do you need in order for this work to be done? Because you said, and in fact that's become clear to us as the show has gone on, that we need to look at the entire structure of roads, or the entire framework for road building in the nation. And that, of course, must consider, we have to consider the amount of resources that will take.
Yeah, that's important. But the resource levels in Fiji are not helping us right now, to be honest. We have a finite number of contractors, and this is one of the considerations with it being budget time. We have to think about what we can deliver. Now, I could go to the Ministry of Economy and say, give me lots of money, but I need to make sure I can actually deliver that. Do I have the resources in-house to design it and to manage it and to plan it properly? And do I have the contractors in Fiji to actually do the work? I can't go there and say, give me $1 billion when I can only deliver $500 million. That doesn't make any sense. So resource is an issue right now. We've increased our numbers over the last 12 months by about 100 people within the FRA, because we're assuming more of the management role now. In the past, it was divested to a lot of the contractors. Now we're taking over that because we know the focus we need to be on. And it's not the same as the contractor's focus. But 100 in this last 12 months, by the end of this year, or by this time next year, we need another 100 people internally within our own organisation. So we're on a bit of a recruitment drive over the next probably 6 or 8 months. But we also need to increase the number of contractors working with us as well. And not only increase the number, we need to upskill the existing contractors so they can go from being small subcontractors to delivering contracts on their own.
Well, we wish you all the best in the work that you have lined up.
Thank you.
And as we know, budget submissions are coming up, so we hope we hear something positive about the FRA.
We'll see.
That's all we have for you tonight. Join us again next week. Good evening.